The champagne glass hitting the table was what finally made everyone stop talking. It was Christmas Eve, just after 8 o'clock. The turkey was still steaming on the dining room table I'd spent 3 days preparing. Candles flickered in the centerpieces I'd made by hand. The house smelled like pine and cinnamon and roasted herbs, everything I'd worked so hard to make perfect. My mother-in-law, Diane, stood at the head of the table, her face flushed from wine or anger or both. The champagne she'd just set down with excessive force was sloshing over the rim, pooling on the white linen tablecloth. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice cutting through the Christmas music playing softly in the background. "I can't sit here and pretend everything is fine." My husband Marcus reached for her arm. "Mom, please, not tonight." "When then?" She pulled away from him, her eyes landing on me with something that looked almost like pity. "When is the right time to tell Rebecca that her husband has been lying to her for the past year and a half?" The room went completely silent. Even the children, my 7-year-old daughter Emma and Marcus's teenage nephew from his sister, stopped their chatter. I felt my face go numb. "What are you talking about?" Diane's hands were shaking as she reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. "I'm talking about the woman Marcus has been sending money to. Thousands of dollars. Money from your joint account, Rebecca. Money you've been saving for Emma's education." "Mom, stop," Marcus said, his voice tight. "This isn't what you think, isn't it?" She held up her phone, showing what looked like bank statements. "Because I think it's exactly what it looks like. I think you've been having an affair, and I think you've been funding it with money that doesn't belong to just you." The word affair seemed to echo in the suddenly too small dining room. Marcus's sister gasped. His father stood up, looking stricken. Emma's eyes filled with tears, even though I knew she didn't fully understand what was happening. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My hands were still holding the serving spoon for the mashed potatoes I'd been about to dish out. Diane continued, her voice breaking. "Rebecca deserves the truth. I thought you'd tell her yourself. I've been waiting for you to do the right thing. But it's been 6 months since I found out, and you're still lying to her every single day." 6 months. She'd known for 6 months and said nothing to me. I finally found my voice. How did you find out?" "I was helping you set up that new online banking access, remember? When you couldn't figure out the password reset? I saw the transfers, dozens of them, all to the same woman. I confronted Marcus about it privately. He promised he'd tell you. He promised it would stop." My eyes moved to my husband. Marcus was 39 years old. We'd been married for 9 years. I'd known him for 12. He coached Emma's soccer team. He made pancakes every Saturday morning. He'd held my hand through my father's death 3 years ago. He looked at me now with an expression I'd never seen before. Guilt, fear, and something else. Resignation, maybe. Like a part of him was relieved the secret was finally out. "Is it true?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "It's not what it sounds like." "That's not an answer." "The money? Yes, I've been sending money. But Rebecca, I swear it's not an affair. It's complicated." "Complicated is forgetting to mention you stopped for drinks after work. Complicated is not telling me you loaned your brother $50. Complicated is not secretly transferring thousands of dollars to another woman behind my back for over a year." "How much?" I heard myself ask. "How much money?" He looked at his mother with something like betrayal, then back at me. "Rebecca, can we talk about this privately? Not here, not in front of everyone." "How much?" He swallowed hard. $32,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. $32,000. That was more than Emma's entire college fund. That was the down payment we'd been saving for a bigger house. That was years of careful budgeting and sacrifice. "Who is she?" I asked. "It's not like that. Who is she, Marcus?" He looked at the floor. Her name is Vanessa. She was my coworker at the firm before she left last year. She's going through a really difficult time, and I was trying to help. By giving her our daughter's college fund, by lying to me every day for over a year? I was going to tell you. When? When were you going to tell me? When the account hit zero? When we tried to pay for Emma's first semester and discovered there was nothing left? Emma started crying in earnest now. Marcus's sister ushered her and the nephew out of the room. Marcus's father muttered something about getting air and disappeared onto the porch. And I stood there in the dining room I decorated so carefully, surrounded by the perfect Christmas I'd orchestrated, and watched my marriage shatter like the champagne glass Diane had slammed onto the table. The worst part was, I knew this was only the beginning. Whatever Marcus was about to tell me about this Vanessa, about why he'd given her enough money to buy a new car, I knew it was going to be worse than I could imagine, because the look on his face wasn't just guilt. It was shame, the kind of shame that comes from doing something you know is unforgivable but did anyway. My name is Rebecca Walsh. I'm 36 years old, and this is the story of how my mother-in-law destroyed Christmas by telling me the truth I should have known all along, and how that truth turned out to be just the first layer of my husband's betrayal. Let me tell you about my life before that Christmas Eve, about the marriage I thought I had, and the family I thought I knew. I met Marcus Walsh when I was 24, fresh out of graduate school with a degree in library science and no clear direction. I was working at a small independent bookstore in downtown Portland, living in a studio apartment I could barely afford, trying to figure out what came next. Marcus came in one rainy October afternoon looking for a specific architecture book. I helped him find it, and we ended up talking for 20 minutes about the difference between brutalism and modernism, a conversation I was wildly unqualified for. But he was patient and charming and made me feel like my opinions mattered. He asked me to dinner, then to dinner again, then to meet his family for Sunday brunch. That was Marcus, decisive, confident, someone who knew what he wanted and went after it. I was cautious by nature, the kind of person who made pros and cons lists before buying a new toaster. But Marcus made me feel safe enough to take risks. We dated for 3 years before he proposed. He did it at Powell's Books in the rare book room with a first edition of my favorite novel and a ring tucked inside. It was perfect. He was perfect. We married when I was 27. A small ceremony, just family and close friends, followed by a reception at a beautiful old house with views of Mount Hood. Marcus's parents paid for most of it. They were well off, comfortable, the kind of family that had money without flashing it around. His father, Robert, was a retired engineer, quiet, steady, the kind of man who fixed things without being asked and never raised his voice. Marcus was a lot like him in that way. His mother, Diane, was different. She was warm but observant, the kind of woman who noticed everything. If you'd gotten a haircut, if you seemed tired, if something was bothering you. She'd been a social worker before retiring, spent 30 years helping families in crisis. She had strong opinions about honesty, about communication, about doing right by people. Secrets destroy families, she'd told me once years ago when we were discussing a mutual friend's messy divorce. Not the truth, the secrets. Truth hurts for a moment. Secrets hurt forever. I'd agreed with her then, believed her. Never imagined she'd one day be standing in my dining room, exposing a secret that would destroy the life I'd built. Emma was born 2 years into our marriage. The pregnancy was difficult, hyperemesis gravidarum, that had me hospitalized twice, but Marcus was there for every moment. He held my hair while I threw up. He slept in hospital chairs. He cried when they placed Emma in my arms for the first time. He was a good father, patient, engaged, present. He coached her soccer team even though he knew nothing about soccer and had to watch YouTube videos to learn the rules. He did tea parties with stuffed animals. He checked under her bed for monsters every single night without complaint. We had a good life. Not exciting, maybe. Not the kind of life that makes for interesting stories at parties, but good, stable, safe. Marcus worked as a project manager at an architecture firm downtown. The hours were long sometimes, but the pay was good. I'd gone back to work part-time when Emma started school, managing the children's section at our local library. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We saved carefully, put money away for Emma's education, contributed to retirement accounts, talked about eventually buying a bigger house, maybe something with a yard big enough for a dog. We had date nights twice a month. We took Emma on vacation every summer. Nothing extravagant, just road trips to the coast or camping in the Cascades. We argued sometimes about stupid things, like whose turn it was to clean the bathroom, how much time he spent on his phone, my tendency to catastrophize about every small problem. But we always made up. We said, "I love you" every morning and every night. We kissed goodbye even when we were running late. I thought we were happy. I thought we were partners. I thought I knew him. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. Or maybe they weren't signs at all. Maybe I'm just retrofitting normal behavior into suspicious patterns because I know how the story ends. About a year and a half ago, Marcus started working later. Not every night, but a couple times a week, he'd text, "Big deadline, gonna be late, don't wait up." I didn't question it. Architecture firms are notorious for insane deadlines and last-minute client changes. I'd been married to him long enough to know that his industry ran on stress and overtime. He started checking his phone more often, taking calls in the other room, password protecting his devices, something he'd never done before. "Just work stuff," he said when I asked about it once. "Client confidentiality. The firm's cracking down on security." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He became more attentive, actually. Brought home flowers for no reason. Suggested we go out to dinner when I was too tired to cook. Told me I was beautiful when I was wearing sweatpants and hadn't washed my hair in 3 days. I thought we were going through a good phase. Some couples go through rough patches. We were going through a sweet one. Now I know guilt looks a lot like generosity. Lies look a lot like love when you're not looking closely enough. Money had been tighter the past year, but I'd attributed it to rising costs. Groceries were more expensive. Emma needed new clothes constantly because she was growing so fast. The car needed repairs. "We should probably cut back on eating out," Marcus had suggested about 6 months ago. "Maybe skip the big vacation this summer. Just do something local." "Is everything okay with work?" I'd asked, worried. "Everything's fine. Just want to be smart about spending. Build up the savings a bit more." Build up the savings, while he was draining Emma's college fund to give money to a woman I'd never heard of.
3 months ago, I'd wanted to check how much we had saved for the house down payment. I'd logged into our joint account and saw a balance that seemed lower than I expected. I'd asked Marcus about it. He'd pulled up the account on his phone, shown me a spreadsheet where he tracked everything. "You're looking at the wrong account," he'd said. "That's just our operating account. The savings are in a different one. We're right on track." He'd lied to my face. Casually. Easily. Like it cost him nothing. I'd met Vanessa once, about 2 years ago. She was Marcus's co-worker at the firm. They'd worked on a project together and the whole team had gone out for drinks to celebrate when it wrapped. Marcus had invited me to join. "Come meet everyone," he'd said. "You're always saying you don't know anyone from my work." Vanessa had been friendly. Mid-30s, professional, competent. She chatted with me about the project, asked about Emma, complimented my earrings. We talked for maybe 15 minutes total before I'd gotten tired and told Marcus I was heading home. I'd had no reason to think anything of her. She was just a coworker, one of dozens Marcus worked with. I'd built my life around this man, tied my identity to being his wife, Emma's mother, part of the Walsh family. I'd made 1,000 small sacrifices and compromises because I thought we were building something together. And the whole time, he'd been living a double life. The whole time, he'd been someone else. After the initial explosion, after Diane had dropped her bomb and everyone scattered, Marcus and I were left standing in the dining room. The turkey was getting cold. The candles were burning down. Somewhere in the house, I could hear Emma crying and Lisa trying to comfort her. "We need to talk," Marcus said quietly. "I don't want to talk. I want you to explain. I want you to make this make sense." "Okay, yes, I'll explain everything. Just, can we go somewhere private?" "No, say it here, say it now. Tell me why you've been lying to me for over a year." He took a deep breath. "Vanessa she's sick, really sick. She has cancer." Of all the explanations I'd been bracing myself for, that wasn't one of them. "Cancer," I repeated. "Ovarian cancer, stage 3. She had to leave the firm because she couldn't work during treatment. Her insurance covered some of it, but not all. The bills were destroying her. She was going to lose her apartment, her car, everything. She reached out to me because we'd worked together, because she didn't have anyone else. So you gave her $32,000. I loaned it to her. She's going to pay it back when she can. Did I agree to that loan? Did we discuss it? Did we make that decision together? No. Then it wasn't a loan from us. It was a gift from you, a gift of our money, money we saved together, money that was supposed to be for Emma's future. I know it was wrong not to tell you, but Rebecca, she was desperate. She was going to die without treatment. Don't, I said sharply. Don't you dare make this about her suffering. Don't make me the villain for being upset that you stole from our daughter to help your coworker. I didn't steal. You took money that wasn't just yours without my knowledge or consent. What would you call that? He had no answer. Is it an affair? Just tell me, are you in love with her? Are you sleeping with her? No, God, no. Rebecca, I swear it's not like that. We're friends, just friends. I was trying to help someone in a terrible situation. Friends don't give friends $32,000 without telling their wives. I was going to tell you. When? At what point in the past year and a half were you planning to mention this? He ran his hands through his hair, looking lost. I don't know. I kept thinking I'd find the right time, the right way to explain, and then more time would pass and it got harder. The lie got bigger. I know how it sounds. I know I fucked up. But please, you have to believe me. There's nothing romantic between us. I was just trying to help someone. By lying to me every single day? Yes. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at this man I'd loved for 12 years, the father of my child, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world, and I didn't recognize him. I need you to leave, I said quietly. What? I need you to pack a bag and leave. Tonight. I can't look at you right now. I can't be in the same house as you. Rebecca, it's Christmas Eve. Emma is upstairs crying because her grandmother just destroyed Christmas by exposing her father as a liar. I think Christmas is already ruined, don't you? Please let me stay. Let me help fix this. You've helped enough. Get out. He left, packed a bag while I stood in the hallway making sure he didn't try to talk to Emma. He walked out into the cold December night, and I locked the door behind him. Then I went upstairs to my daughter, who was crying in her room, and tried to explain something I didn't understand myself. Is Daddy coming back? Emma asked, her face blotchy with tears. I don't know, baby. I don't know. And that was the truth. The only truth I had left. Christmas morning came without Marcus. Emma woke up at 6, like she always did on Christmas, ran downstairs expecting magic,
and found me asleep on the couch where I'd been all night, still wearing yesterday's clothes. "Mommy?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "Where's Daddy?" I sat up, my neck stiff from the terrible pillow. "He had to go stay somewhere else for a little while, sweetheart." "Because of what Grandma said?" 7 years old, too young to understand the full scope of what had happened, but old enough to know something was terribly wrong. "Grandma was trying to help," I said, which wasn't entirely true, but was the best I could manage. "Sometimes grown-ups have problems they need to work out, but it has nothing to do with you. Daddy loves you so much." "Does he love you?" The question hit me like a fist. Yes, in his own way, but sometimes love isn't enough when people hurt each other. Emma's eyes filled with tears again. "I don't want you and Daddy to be like Sophie's parents. They got divorced and now Sophie has to have 2 Christmases and she says it's weird." "Hey," I pulled her close. "We don't know what's going to happen yet, but whatever does happen, you're going to be okay. I promise." We went through the motions of Christmas, opened presents, I made her favorite pancakes, we watched Christmas movies. But the joy was hollow, performative. We were both just trying to survive the day. Marcus called at noon. I sent it to voicemail. He called again at 4, again at 6. At 6 he texted, "Please let me talk to Emma. She shouldn't be punished because of what I did." He was right, of course, so I called him back and handed the phone to Emma. I listened to her side of the conversation from the kitchen. "Okay, I miss you too. Yeah, Santa came. Uh-huh. Okay. Love you." When she came back, her face was brighter. "Daddy said he'll see me soon. He said he's sorry for missing Christmas morning." After Emma went to bed, I finally listened to Marcus's voicemails. The first, "Rebecca, I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but please, let's talk. Let me explain everything properly. I love you. I love our family. I don't want to lose you." The second, "I'm at my parents' house. My mom told me she's sorry for the way she handled it. She thought I already told you. She didn't realize it was going to come out like that. I know that doesn't make it better, but I want you to know it wasn't some calculated ambush." The third was just him breathing for a few seconds before hanging up. The day after Christmas, Diane showed up at my door. "I know you probably don't want to see me," she said when I opened it, "but I needed to apologize in person." I let her in because I was raised to be polite, even when I wanted to slam the door. We sat in the living room where, less than 48 hours ago, my life had been normal. "I'm sorry," Diane said, her hands twisting in her lap. "Not for telling you, you deserve to know, but for the way I did it, in front of everyone, on Christmas. That was cruel, and I didn't mean it to be cruel. I couldn't sit through another family dinner pretending I didn't know. You knew for 6 months. I did, and I've agonized over it every single day. When I first found out, I confronted Marcus immediately. He broke down, told me about Vanessa's cancer, begged me to give him time to figure out how to tell you. He said he was trying to help someone, and it had gotten out of hand." "And you believed him?" "I wanted to. He's my son. But I also told him he had 1 month to come clean. 1 month. Or I'd tell you myself." That was 6 months ago. Diane nodded, shame clear on her face. Every time the deadline came, he'd beg for more time. He'd say Vanessa was going through a critical treatment phase, or that he was waiting for the right moment, or that he had a plan to put the money back before you noticed. And I let him manipulate me. I let my love for my son override what I knew was right.
Why tell me now? Because I saw the bank statement again last week when I was helping you with the computer, and the transfers hadn't stopped. They were still happening. He'd promised me over and over that it was finished, that he wasn't sending more money, and he was lying to both of us. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I realized then that he was never going to tell you, that he was going to keep lying until you discovered it yourself, probably in some even more devastating way, and I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't be complicit in that. So you blew up Christmas instead. Yes, and I'm sorry for that, but Rebecca, I'm not sorry. You know the truth. You deserve better than living in ignorance while your husband lies to you. I wanted to be angry at her, part of me was, but another part understood the impossible position she'd been in, caught between her son and what was right. Is it really just about Vanessa being sick, or is there more? I don't know. That's what he's told me, but I've learned that Marcus is very good at lying, so I can't be certain of anything anymore. After she left, I sat with that thought. Marcus was very good at lying. I'd never known that about him, never suspected it. What else didn't I know? I did what I should have done immediately. I looked up Vanessa myself. Social media made it easy. Vanessa Chen, 36, formerly worked at Morrison & Associates, architecture. I scrolled through her public posts.
There were photos of hiking trips, brunches with friends, a cat named Mochi. There were no posts about cancer. No fundraising campaigns, no GoFundMe links, no updates about treatment. That didn't necessarily mean anything. Some people were private about illness. But then I found her LinkedIn, updated 2 months ago, currently employed as a senior designer at a boutique firm downtown. If she was in active treatment for stage 3 cancer, would she be working full-time? I dug deeper, found a running blog she maintained. Her last post was from 3 weeks ago. Finished my first half marathon today. 6 months of training paid off. Feeling strong and grateful for this body. A half marathon 3 weeks ago. My hands were shaking as I screenshot everything. Then I did something I'd never done in 9 years of marriage. I went through Marcus's things, looking for evidence. His home office felt like a stranger's space now. I opened drawers, files, looked through papers. Found nothing. Everything related to work was on his laptop, which was password protected. I tried our anniversary, Emma's birthday. Nothing worked. Then, feeling slightly sick with myself, I tried Vanessa's birthday. I'd seen it on her social media. The laptop opened. My husband's password was another woman's birthday. I went through his emails, found correspondence with Vanessa going back nearly 2 years, before she'd even left the firm. Most of it was innocuous, work stuff, project discussions. But then, about 18 months ago, the tone changed. Vanessa, I don't know who else to tell. The diagnosis is bad. Stage 3. I'm terrified. Marcus, I'm so sorry. What do you need? How can I help? Vanessa, I don't know. My insurance is awful. The out-of-pocket costs are going to be insane. I might have to declare bankruptcy. Marcus, don't worry about money. Let me help. Whatever you need. Vanessa, I can't ask you to do that. Marcus, you're not asking. I'm offering. We're friends. Friends help each other. The emails continued, him asking about her treatment, her updating him on appointments and procedures.
Him sending encouragement, her expressing gratitude. And woven through it all, money requests. The specialist wants a $5,000 deposit before he'll schedule the surgery. Insurance denied the experimental treatment. I need $8,000 to pay out of pocket. They're threatening to send me to collections if I don't pay $4,500 by Friday. Each time Marcus responded, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry." I found bank records in his email showing the transfers, exactly as Diane had said. Dozens of them, $32,000 total. But here's what made me pause. I also found receipts for things that had nothing to do with medical care. A receipt for a designer handbag, $600, charged to one of Marcus's credit cards, shipped to Vanessa's address. A receipt for a weekend at a luxury spa resort, $1,200. Reservation for 2. A receipt for jewelry, a necklace, $800. These were dated over the past 6 months, long after the initial cancer diagnosis, mixed in with what appeared to be legitimate medical expenses. I felt sick, not just betrayed, foolish, because this was looking less like compassionate friend helping sick colleague and more like, what, an affair? A con? Both? I called the number listed on Vanessa's LinkedIn. It went to voicemail. I left a message. "This is Rebecca Walsh, Marcus's wife. I need to speak to you about the money my husband has been giving you. Please call me back." She called back within an hour. "Mrs. Walsh." Her voice was smooth, professional, not at all what I had expected. "You knew about me?" "Of course I knew about you. Marcus talked about you and Emma all the time. He's very proud of his family." The casualness of it was somehow worse than if she'd been defensive. "Are you sick?" I asked bluntly. "Do you actually have cancer?" A pause. Longer this time. "I was sick. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer 18 months ago. I've been through surgery and chemotherapy. I'm currently in remission." "And the money Marcus gave you, that was all for medical expenses?" Another pause. "Most of it, yes. Medical bills are complicated. There are a lot of expenses that insurance doesn't cover. Transportation to appointments, childcare for my daughter while I was in treatment, lost wages when I couldn't work. Marcus was helping me survive." "You have a daughter?" "Yes. She's 9. I'm a single mother. Her father isn't in the picture. When I got sick, I had no one to help me. Marcus stepped up when no one else would." I thought about the spa receipt, the jewelry. "You gave him over $30,000? I'm aware. I've been keeping track. I plan to pay him back when I can."
Did he ever tell you that money was coming from our joint account? From our daughter's college fund? Mrs. Walsh, I never asked Marcus where the money came from. I assumed it was his to give. If he took it from your family savings without your knowledge, that's between you and him. You're not concerned that you've been accepting money from a married man without his wife's knowledge? I was concerned with not dying, with making sure my daughter didn't lose her mother. Marcus offered to help during the worst crisis of my life. I accepted. That's all. Did you sleep with him? No. We're friends. That's all we've ever been. Friends don't usually give each other $30,000. Friends don't usually watch each other go through cancer either. Marcus was there for me in a way no one else was. He drove me to appointments. He sat with me during chemotherapy. He held my hand when I was terrified. The money was part of it, yes, but it wasn't the only thing. He was emotionally present in a way that saved my life as much as the treatment did. My stomach turned. Emotionally present? While I was at home, believing his late nights were about work deadlines? While I was raising our daughter alone, thinking he was busy. He was with her,
holding her hand, being present for her instead of us. The spa weekend, the jewelry. Explain those. The spa weekend was a celebration when I finished chemo. Marcus thought I deserved something nice after months of hell. We went as friends. Separate rooms, nothing happened. And the necklace? A gift. For surviving, for making it through treatment. Is that a crime? It is when it's my money and I didn't know about it. Then your problem is with Marcus, not me. I'm sorry if his generosity toward me has caused problems in your marriage, but I'm not sorry he helped me. I'm alive because of him. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, trying to process. Vanessa's story checked out. The cancer was real. The medical crisis was real. And Marcus had genuinely helped her through it all. But he'd done it in secret. He'd built an entire emotional relationship with another woman, spending time with her, supporting her through trauma, being her person, while lying to me about where he was and what he was doing. And he'd spent our money, thousands of dollars, without my knowledge or consent. Even if there was no physical affair, there was betrayal. Deep, fundamental betrayal of our partnership. Marcus called that evening. This time, I answered. "Thank you for picking up," he said. He sounded exhausted. "Can we talk in person?" I spoke to Vanessa. A sharp intake of breath. "Rebecca, I told you about the cancer, about the treatment, about how you were there for her through it all. I was going to tell you all of that." "When, Marcus? When were you going to tell me you were spending your evenings holding another woman's hand through chemotherapy? When were you going to mention that you took her to a spa resort to celebrate? When were you going to explain that you gave her jewelry?" "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Make it make sense." He was quiet for a long moment. "Can I come over? I can't do this on the phone." "No, Emma's here. Say what you need to say now." I heard him take a breath. When Vanessa got diagnosed, she was terrified, completely alone. Her ex-husband abandoned her years ago. Her family is across the country. She had no one. And I'd worked with her for 3 years. We were friends, good friends. When she reached out, I couldn't just ignore it. "So you became her support system?" "Yes." "Without telling me?" "I didn't know how to tell you. I knew how it would look. I knew you'd think what you're thinking now, that there was something romantic. But there wasn't. I swear to you, Rebecca, I never touched her, never kissed her, never even thought about her that way." "But you loved her?" Silence. "Not romantic love, but yes, I cared about her. Deeply. I cared about whether she lived or died. I cared about her daughter not losing her mother. And that caring made me do things I shouldn't have done, made me lie to you, made me prioritize her needs over our family's financial security. The money was supposed to be for Emma. I know. You stole from our daughter to help someone else's daughter keep her mother. I didn't think about it that way. I just thought, there's money in the account. Vanessa needs it more urgently than we do. I'll find a way to replace it later." "How? How were you planning to replace $32,000? "I don't know. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was just trying to help someone survive." "At the expense of your own family."
Yes. And I know how terrible that sounds. I know I fucked up. I know I betrayed your trust. But Rebecca, if you'd seen her, if you'd seen how scared she was, how alone, how desperate, I might have wanted to help her too, but you didn't give me that choice. You made the decision alone and then lied about it. That's the problem, Marcus. Not that you helped her, that you lied. I know. You're right. You're absolutely right. Are you in love with her? No. Are you sure? Because it sounds like you built an entire emotional life with this woman. You were her person, her support, her hero. That sounds like love to me. It's not romantic love. I don't care if it's romantic. You gave her what should have been mine. Your time, your attention, your emotional energy. You came home to me exhausted because you'd spent all your care on someone else. Do you have any idea how that feels?
I'm sorry.
Stop saying you're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't put the money back. Sorry doesn't undo the lies. Then what do you want me to say? I want you to tell me why. Why was helping her more important than being honest with me? Why was protecting her more important than protecting our marriage? He was quiet for so long, I thought he'd hung up. Then, because she was dying and you weren't. Because she needed saving and you were fine. Because I could be the hero in her story, and in ours I was just regular. Just a husband. Just a dad. The honesty of it cut deeper than any lie. So, this was about your ego, I said quietly. About feeling important. Needed. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't exactly had time to analyze my motivations. Well, you're going to have plenty of time now, because I want you to stay away. I need time to think about whether I even want to try to fix this. Rebecca, I mean it, Marcus. You chose to help Vanessa without me. Now I'm choosing to figure this out without you. Let's see how you like being excluded from major decisions. I hung up before he could respond. That night alone in our bed, I cried harder than I'd cried since my father died. Not because Marcus had fallen in love with someone else. I almost could have understood that. People fall out of love. Hurts change. But this was worse. He'd built a secret life, made unilateral decisions about our money, our future, our marriage, prioritized a friendship over our partnership, lied to me every single day for 18 months. And he'd done it all while telling himself he was being a good person, a hero, saving someone. Never mind that in the process, he was destroying someone else. Me. 3 days after that phone call, I hired a divorce attorney. Not because I decided to divorce Marcus. I genuinely didn't know what I wanted yet. But because I needed to understand my options, my rights. What would happen to Emma if our marriage ended? The attorney, Patricia Morrison, was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and efficient. She listened to my story without interrupting, took notes, then sat back and folded her hands. First question, do you want to save this marriage? I don't know. That's honest. Second question, do you think Marcus is telling you the whole truth now? I don't know that either. Then here's what I recommend. Before you make any decisions about divorce, you need the complete picture. I'm going to refer you to a forensic accountant, someone who can go through all your finances and tell you exactly where every penny went. Because in my experience, when someone hides $30,000, there's usually more they're hiding. The forensic accountant was a woman named Jennifer Wu. She was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with a matter-of-fact demeanor that I found oddly comforting. She said, I need access to everything. Bank accounts, credit cards, retirement funds, loan documents, everything. Can you get me that? I had access to our joint accounts, but Marcus had his own credit card, one he used for work expenses. I'd never looked at it closely. I'll get you what I can, I said. That night, while Emma was at a sleepover at my friend's house, I went through every file in Marcus's office. I found statements for the credit card I knew about, but I also found statements for another card I'd never seen before. Opened 3 years ago, in his name only. The recent statement showed a pattern. Monthly charges to the same places. A flower shop, restaurants, coffee shops, movie theaters, and a recurring charge of $1,800 per month to something called Sycamore Property Management. I Googled it. A property management company that handled apartment rentals downtown. My hands went numb. Marcus wasn't just sending Vanessa money. He was paying her rent. Had been for at least the past year based on the statements I was looking at. I called Jennifer immediately. I found another credit card and I think my husband has been paying this woman's rent. Email me photos of the statements, she said calmly. I'll add it to the analysis.
2 days later, Jennifer sent me a preliminary report. Total money transferred to Vanessa Chin or paid on her behalf, $67,400. $67,000, more than double what Marcus had admitted to. The breakdown was staggering. Direct bank transfers, $32,000. Rent payments, $21,600, 12 months at $1,800 a month. Credit card charges for gifts, meals, travel, $8,900. A car payment, $4,900, 6 months of payments on a lease in Vanessa's name. He'd been paying for her entire life. Rent, car, food, entertainment, everything. "There's more," Jennifer said when I called her. "I found evidence of a personal loan he took out 8 months ago, $15,000 from his 401k. The withdrawal triggered penalties and taxes. It's going to seriously impact your retirement." "Where did that money go?" "I'm still tracing it, but my preliminary finding suggests it also went to Vanessa. There's a deposit in her account around the same time that matches the net amount after taxes." I felt like I was going to throw up. "Rebecca, I need to ask you something, and I need you to really think about it," Jennifer said carefully. "Is there any chance this isn't what it looks like? Any chance there's a legitimate explanation?" "Like what?" "Like they have a child together. Like he's being blackmailed. Like there's some legal obligation we don't know about. He says she has cancer, that he was helping her pay medical bills. Medical bills don't explain rent payments or car leases or jewelry. This pattern looks less like charity and more like, well, like he's supporting a second household." A second household. The words hung in the air. "Do you think they're having an affair?" I asked. "I'm an accountant, not a private investigator, but financially, this looks like the behavior of someone supporting a partner, not a friend." I confronted Marcus that night, showed up at his parents' house where he was staying, and demanded we talk. Outside, away from Diane and Robert. We stood in their driveway, the January cold biting through my coat. $67,000, I said without preamble. Not 32, 67. You've been paying her rent, her car lease. You took a loan from your retirement account. Were you ever going to tell me the truth, or were you just going to keep lying until I figured it out? His face went gray. "How did you?" "I hired a forensic accountant. She went through everything, every count, every statement, every transaction. I know about it all now." "Rebecca, tell me the truth. Right now, are you having an affair with her?" "No, I told you, we're not." "Then why? Why are you paying for her entire life? Why are you paying her rent, Marcus? Medical bills don't explain that." He looked at the ground. "Her cancer put her in debt. She couldn't afford her apartment anymore. She was going to have to move back to California with her parents, uproot her whole life. I couldn't let that happen." "So you became her landlord? Her sugar daddy? What exactly is your relationship with this woman?" "He's my friend." "Stop lying." I was shouting now, didn't care if his parents heard. "Friends don't do this. This is what you do for a partner, for a spouse. You've been living a double life, supporting 2 families, and I want to know why." "Because she needed me," he shouted back. "Because her life was falling apart and I could help, and I wanted to help. Is that so wrong?" "Yes, when you do it with our money, when you lie to your wife, when you prioritize someone else over your own family. Yes, Marcus, that's wrong." I was gonna fix it. I had a plan. What possible plan could replace $67,000? He had no answer. "I talked to an attorney," I said, watching his face. "I know what divorce looks like now. I know that you've been hiding assets, making financial decisions without me. I know that looks very bad for you in family court." "You're divorcing me?" "I'm considering it because I don't know who you are anymore. The man I married wouldn't have done this. So either you've changed or I never knew you in the first place. I'm still me. I made mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk. This is systematic deception. This is a choice you made every single day for over a year." "What do you want from me?" His voice cracked. "What can I do to fix this?" "I want the whole truth, every detail. I want to know exactly what your relationship with Vanessa is, and I want to meet her face to face. The 3 of us." "What?"
You heard me.
I want to sit down with both of you and hear the full story, because I'm done with secondhand information. I'm done with your version and her version. I want to see you together. I want to see how you interact. And then I'll decide if there's anything left of this marriage worth saving. Rebecca, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't care what you think. This is my condition. You want any chance of saving our marriage? Set up a meeting, the three of us. Or I call Patricia tomorrow and file for divorce. 2 days later, I walked into a coffee shop in Southeast Portland to meet my husband and the woman he'd given $67,000 to. Vanessa was already there, sitting at a corner table. She looked different than in her social media photos. Thinner, tired, her hair clearly growing back from chemo, styled in a short pixie cut. She wore a scarf around her neck and a carefully applied layer of makeup that didn't quite hide the shadows under her eyes. She stood when she saw me, extending her hand. "Mrs. Walsh, thank you for agreeing to meet." I didn't take her hand. This wasn't optional. She lowered her hand, nodded, sat back down. Marcus arrived a minute later, looking nervous. He sat between us, literally in the middle, and the symbolism wasn't lost on me. "Thank you both for coming," he started. "Don't," I said. "Don't act like this is a mediation you're leading. You don't get to control this conversation." I turned to Vanessa. "I want to hear it from you. All of it. How this started, what your relationship is, and why you needed $67,000. Vanessa took a breath. 18 months ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. I just left Marcus's firm to take a position somewhere else. Better pay, better title. Then I got sick. The new job's insurance wasn't as good. The medical bills started piling up. I'm a single mother. I have a 9-year-old daughter. I was terrified. You said all this on the phone. Tell me something I don't know." She glanced at Marcus, then back at me. "Marcus and I worked together for 3 years before I left the firm. We became friends, good friends. We had lunch together a few times a week. We talked about our lives, our problems. He told me about you and Emma. I told him about my daughter, Maya, and my ex-husband who abandoned us. So you were friends. Yes, just friends, but close friends. And when I got diagnosed, he was one of the first people I told. He offered to help immediately, drive me to appointments, research treatment options, and yes, eventually, help financially. $67,000 isn't help. It's support. I know. It got out of hand. At first, it was small amounts, 1,000 here, 500 there, just to cover gaps in what insurance wouldn't pay. But then my savings ran out. I couldn't work full-time during treatment. I couldn't afford my rent. Marcus offered to help with that too. And you let him. I was desperate. I had a daughter to provide for. I was sick, terrified, alone. When someone offers you a lifeline, you take it. Even when that someone is married. I thought... She stopped, choosing her words carefully. I thought his marriage was stable enough that helping a friend wouldn't threaten it. I thought he'd discussed it with you. I didn't know he was hiding it until you called me. That's convenient. It's the truth. She met my eyes directly. Mrs. Walsh, I'm not trying to steal your husband. I never was. I'm grateful for his help, but I don't have romantic feelings for him. I'm not interested in breaking up your family. Then why accept so much money? Why let it continue? Because I was dying. Her voice hardened. Because every day was a fight to stay alive. Because my daughter needed me to survive, and Marcus's help made that possible. I'm sorry it cost your family, but I'm not sorry I'm alive. I turned to Marcus. And you? What's your explanation? I told you I wanted to help. No, the real reason, not the noble martyr version,
The truth. He was quiet for a long moment. You want to know the real truth? Yes. It felt good. Helping Vanessa felt good. It made me feel needed in a way I haven't felt in years. At home, everything runs smoothly without me. You handle Emma's schedule. You manage the house. You're competent and capable, and you don't need me for anything except a paycheck. I felt like he'd slapped me. But Vanessa needed me, really needed me. I was her lifeline, her support, the person who made the difference between life and death. And that felt important. It felt meaningful in a way that coming home to watch TV and help with homework didn't. So you traded your actual family for the feeling of being a hero. I didn't trade you. I got caught up in something that made me feel valuable, and I didn't know how to stop. Did you fall in love with her? He looked at Vanessa, then back at me. Not romantic love, but did I develop feelings? Did I care about her more than I should have? Yes, probably. I crossed lines I shouldn't have crossed. Vanessa spoke up. For what it's worth, I didn't encourage it. I appreciated his help, but I never led him on. I never suggested our relationship was anything more than friendship. But you knew he was lying to his wife. You knew he was spending money without my knowledge, and you let it continue because it benefited you? Yes, she said simply. I chose my survival over your marriage. I'm not proud of that. But I'd make the same choice again. The honesty was almost worse than lies would have been. I looked at Marcus. You destroyed our financial security. You lied to me for over a year. You built an emotional affair whether or not you ever slept together. And you did it all because it made you feel important. I know. Do you love her more than you love me? No, Rebecca, no. What I feel for Vanessa is complicated, but it's not the same as what I feel for you. You're my wife, my partner, the mother of my child. But she's the one who makes you feel like a hero? He didn't deny it. I stood up. I've heard enough. Rebecca, wait. No. I came here to understand. I understand now. You chose feeling important over being faithful. You chose your ego over our family. And Vanessa, you chose your survival over basic ethics. I looked at Vanessa. I hope you stay in remission. I genuinely do. I hope your daughter never has to lose her mother. But I also hope you understand that your survival cost me my marriage. That's not your fault, but it's the truth. Then I looked at Marcus. I need more time. Don't call me. Don't come by. When I'm ready to talk, I'll let you know. I walked out of the coffee shop into the gray Portland winter, leaving them sitting together at that table. And for the first time since Christmas Eve, I felt like I could breathe. Because I'd made a decision. I didn't know yet if I was going to divorce Marcus, but I knew I wasn't going to accept the scraps of attention he gave me while he played hero in someone else's story. I deserved better than that. Emma deserved better than that. And if Marcus couldn't see that, then maybe our marriage really was over. That night, I did something I hadn't done in 9 years. I called an old friend. Trevor and I had dated briefly in college. It hadn't worked out. Wrong timing, different life goals, but we'd stayed friendly. He'd married, had kids, gotten divorced 2 years ago. We still texted occasionally, kept up with each other's lives in that casual way old friends do. I called him and asked if he wanted to get coffee. Not because I wanted to date him, not because I was looking for revenge or validation,
but because I needed to talk to someone who knew me before I was Marcus's wife, before I was Emma's mom, before my identity became entirely wrapped up in taking care of other people. We met the next day. He listened to my story, the whole thing, without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "What do you want? Not what Marcus wants, not what's best for Emma, not what your mother-in-law thinks. What do you want?" No one had asked me that, not once in this entire nightmare. "I want to matter," I said, surprised by my own answer. "I want to be someone's priority, not their backup plan. I want a partnership where decisions are made together. I want to feel valued for who I am, not just what I do." And can Marcus give you that? I don't know. I don't know if he even understands what I'm asking for. Then maybe that's what you need to find out. I went home and wrote Marcus an email. I needed to see my thoughts in writing, needed to be clear. "Marcus, I spent the past 2 weeks trying to understand why you did what you did. I've talked to attorneys, accountants, therapists. I've talked to your mother, to Vanessa, to you. And here's what I figured out. You didn't just lie about money. You lied about where you were, who you were with, what mattered to you. You built a separate emotional life with another woman. Whether or not you slept with her is almost irrelevant. You gave her the parts of yourself that should have been mine. You say you did it because she needed you and I didn't. But Marcus, I needed you too. I needed a partner who was present. I needed a husband who was honest. I needed someone who valued our family's security over his need to feel like a hero. The money can be replaced eventually. The trust can't. I don't know if I want to divorce you, but I know I can't stay married to the man you've been for the past year and a half. If there's any chance of saving this marriage, you need to change fundamentally. And I need to see real evidence of that change, not just promises. Here's what I need. 1, complete financial transparency. Every account, every card, every penny. No more secrets. 2, no more contact with Vanessa. None, not even to check on her health. 3, marriage counseling. Twice a week, non-negotiable. 4, you need your own therapist. You need to figure out why you did this, why you needed external validation more than you needed integrity. 5, a plan to restore the money. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I need to see you working to fix what you broke. I love you. I love Emma. I love our family, and I'm ready to fight for it. I read it 3 times, trying to decide if I believed him. Then I made my choice. I was going to give him one chance, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved to know I tried everything before I walked away. But this time, I was going into it with my eyes open. No more blind trust, no more assuming the best. This time, he'd have to earn back every ounce of faith, one honest day at a time. And if he failed, if he lied even once, I was done. No second chances after the second chance. Marcus moved back home 3 weeks after I sent that email. Not into our bedroom, into the guest room. That was my condition. physical proximity for Emma's sake, but emotional distance until I could trust him again. The first week was unbearably awkward. We moved around each other like strangers, overly polite, carefully neutral. Emma watched us with anxious eyes, asking questions we couldn't answer. "Are you and Daddy getting divorced?" she asked me one night at bedtime. "I don't know yet, sweetheart. We're trying to work things out. But even if we do get divorced, you'll still have both of us. We both love you so much." Sophie's parents said that too. Then her dad moved to Seattle. "Daddy's not moving to Seattle." "How do you know?" I didn't. I couldn't promise her anything. That was the worst part, not being able to give my daughter the certainty she desperately needed. We started marriage counseling with a therapist named Dr. Andrew Chen. He was in his 60s, calm and direct, with an office that smelled like sandalwood and old books. The first session was just intake. Background, history, presenting problem. I let Marcus explain what he'd done, watched Dr. Chen's face remain neutral while Marcus laid out the financial betrayal, the emotional affair, the lies. "And Rebecca, what do you want from these sessions?" Dr. Chen asked me. "I want to understand why my husband of 9 years thought it was acceptable to lie to me every single day. And I want to know if he's actually capable of change or if I'm wasting my time." "That's fair." Marcus, same question. "What do you want?" "I want my wife back. I want to save my marriage. I want to prove I'm not the person who did those things." "But you are the person who did those things?" Dr. Chen said gently. "The work isn't pretending it wasn't you. It's understanding why it was you and making different choices going forward." Over the following weeks, we dissected our marriage in that office. Not just the affair and the lies, but the foundation they'd been built on. Dr. Chen asked questions that made us both uncomfortable. "Marcus, when did you start feeling unimportant in your marriage?" "Rebecca, when did you stop asking Marcus for help?" "How did two of you handle conflict in the early years?" "When was the last time you went on a date? Just the two of you?" The answers were revealing and painful. Marcus admitted he'd felt progressively more like a paycheck than a partner. He said Rebecca handled everything so well. The house, Emma, our social life. I felt like I could disappear and no one would notice as long as the money kept coming. So instead of talking to me about feeling unimportant, you found someone who made you feel important. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I had my own confessions. I stopped asking for help because asking felt like failure. I thought being a good wife and mother meant handling everything myself. I thought needing him meant I was weak. So, you both ended up lonely. Rebecca lonely because she was carrying everything alone. Marcus lonely because he felt unnecessary. And neither of you talked about it. "How do we fix that?" Marcus asked. "You start talking. You start being honest about needs and feelings before they become resentments. And Rebecca, you start asking Marcus to be present, not just physically, but emotionally." It sounded simple. It wasn't. Marcus got his own therapist, Dr. Lisa Park, who specialized in infidelity and integrity issues. He went twice a week, on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. He was also required to attend a 12-step group for people who'd committed financial infidelity. I didn't even know such a thing existed, but apparently it did. "It helps," he told me after his third meeting. "Hearing other people's stories, realizing I'm not uniquely terrible, just typically selfish." The financial piece was harder to fix. Jennifer Wu had laid out the full damage. Joint savings depleted, $32,000. Credit card debt incurred, $23,400. 401k loan with penalties, $12,000. Total financial impact, $67,400. Marcus proposed a plan. He'd take a second job on weekends doing freelance drafting work. Every penny would go towards rebuilding what he destroyed. He estimated it would take 4 to 5 years to fully recover.
4 to 5 years, I repeated when he showed me the spreadsheet. Emma will be in middle school before we recover from this. I know, I'm sorry, but I'll do it, whatever it takes. He started the freelance work immediately. Saturdays and Sundays, he'd disappear into his office for 6 to 8 hours, taking on small projects, residential additions, garage conversions, deck designs. Emma asked why Daddy was always working now. He's helping us save money for your future, I said, which was technically true. Marcus also agreed to complete financial transparency. We set up a shared budgeting app where every purchase, every transaction was visible to both of us in real time. He gave me all his passwords, showed me every statement, every account. I hate this, he admitted one evening as we reviewed the week's expenses together. I hate feeling like I'm being monitored. I hate having to monitor you, but you made this necessary. The hardest part was the Vanessa piece. Marcus had agreed to cut off all contact, but 3 weeks into our reconciliation attempt, Vanessa called him. He didn't answer, but the call appeared on our phone bill. Then she called again the next day, and the day after that. Finally, I told him, call her back on speaker. Tell her it's over. End it completely. He did, with me sitting right there. Vanessa, I can't talk to you anymore. My marriage depends on me maintaining clear boundaries. I'm sorry, but this is goodbye. I understand. I'm grateful for everything you did for me, Marcus. I hope your family heals. I really do. Thank you. I hope you stay healthy. Goodbye, Marcus. Goodbye. He hung up, and I watched him grieve. Because it was grief, the loss of a relationship that had mattered to him, even if it had nearly destroyed us. Are you okay? I asked. No, but I will be. This is the right thing. 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived in the mail. From Vanessa. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a note. Marcus and Rebecca. This is the first installment towards paying back what I owe. I know it doesn't come close to the full amount, but I wanted to start. I've set up a payment plan for myself, $500 a month until the debt is cleared. It'll take over 10 years, but I'll do it. I'm also writing to tell you that I'm moving back to California. My parents have offered to help with Maya, and I found a good job near them. I think the distance will be good for everyone. Marcus, thank you for saving my life. I mean that literally. I wouldn't be here without you. Rebecca, I'm sorry for the pain my acceptance of Marcus's help caused you. You didn't deserve that. I hope you both find peace. Vanessa. I held the check for a long time. $5,000. A small fraction of what had been taken, but more than I'd expected to see. She's really paying it back, Marcus said, reading over my shoulder. She's trying to do the right thing.
which is more than you did for a year and a half." The words came out harsher than I had intended, but Marcus just nodded. "You're right." Emma's therapy started around the same time as ours. Dr. Monica Reeves specialized in children of divorce and family trauma. She saw Emma once a week, and once a month, she met with all three of us together. In one of those family sessions, Dr. Reeves asked Emma, "What do you wish was different about how your parents are acting right now?" Emma looked at both of us, then down to her hands. "I wish they would smile at each other like they used to. They're always so sad now." My heart broke. "Sweetie. And I wish Daddy didn't sleep in the guest room. It makes it feel like he's just visiting, not like he really lives here." Marcus and I exchanged glances. We thought we were protecting her by maintaining boundaries, but she saw through it all. "Emma," Dr. Reeves said gently, "sometimes when grown-ups hurt each other, they need time to heal before they can be close again. That doesn't mean they don't love each other or love you." "But how long does healing take?" "Everyone's different. There's no set timeline." "Sophie's parents said they were healing for a whole year. Then they got divorced anyway." Kids see everything, remember everything, store it all away as evidence of what might happen to them. After that session, Marcus and I talked. "Maybe I should move back into our room, for Emma's sake. That feels like pretending, like putting on a show. Or maybe it's a step toward actual healing. I don't know, Rebecca. I'm trying to figure this out too." We compromised. Marcus moved back into our bedroom, but we maintained physical boundaries. The bed might as well have had a line drawn down the middle. We didn't touch, didn't cuddle, barely made eye contact in that space that used to be our intimate refuge.
It was awkward and painful, and Emma did seem happier, so maybe it was worth it.
"I've been thinking," he said, "about what Dr. Chen said, about me not feeling necessary, about you not asking for help." "Okay. I think part of why I fell into the thing with Vanessa is because I'd stopped feeling like I mattered at home, but that's not your fault. That's on me for not saying anything, for not telling you I felt that way. I should have noticed." "How?" "I hid it. I pretended everything was fine, just like I pretended about Vanessa. I'm really good at pretending, apparently." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm working on being honest, not just about money or where I am, but about feelings, about needs, about the small stuff before it becomes big stuff." "Like what?" "Like, I miss you. I miss feeling close to you. I miss being able to touch you without worrying you'll flinch. I miss feeling like your partner instead of your prisoner." I set down my lemonade. "You're not my prisoner." "I know, that was dramatic. But Rebecca, I need to know, is there a path back? Or am I doing all this work for a marriage that's already dead?" It was a fair question, and I owed him an honest answer. "I don't know," I said. "Some days I think we can make it. Some days I want to. Some days I look at you and feel something warm and real, but other days I look at you and just feel angry, hurt, betrayed all over again. So what decides it? What determines whether we make it or not? Time, I guess, and whether you can stay consistent, whether 6 months from now, a year from now, you're still being honest, still doing the work, or whether this is just a performance until you think you're forgiven. It's not a performance, I promise you, it's not. Then keep proving that, every day. That's all you can do." He nodded,
And then, carefully, hesitantly, he reached for my hand. I let him take it. His palm was warm, familiar. Once upon a time, holding his hand had been the most natural thing in the world. Maybe someday it would be again. At the 10-month mark, Dr. Chen asked us a new question. If you knew for certain this marriage was going to work out, that you'd be happy together in 5 years, what would you each do differently right now? Marcus answered first. I'd stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'd relax. I'd trust that Rebecca believes I'm trying. And you, Rebecca? I thought about it. I'd let myself be vulnerable again. I'd stop protecting myself. I'd lean in instead of holding back. So both of you are stuck in defensive positions. Marcus is bracing for a rejection, Rebecca is bracing for more betrayal, and neither of you can fully heal while you're both in defensive stances. So what do? I asked. You take a risk, both of you. You choose to believe, at least for a little while, that this is going to work. You act as if trust is already rebuilt and see if your hearts follow. It sounded impossible, but we've been doing impossible things for months. That night, I broke the physical boundary. I reached across the invisible line in our bed and rested my hand on Marcus's shoulder. He went very still. Rebecca? I'm trying, I whispered. I'm trying to believe this is real. He rolled over, facing me, his eyes shining in the dark. It is real. I promise you, it's real. And then for the first time in almost a year, we held each other. Just held each other. No more, no less. Just two people who'd been through hell trying to find their way back to something that felt like home. I cried. He cried. We mourned the marriage we'd lost and tentatively reached for the one we might still build. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something, a beginning, a hope. And for that night, it was enough.